I don't know if it's DNA or even if it's a good thing or a bad thing. My dad has always been really good at making up stories. All right, and they're really typically pretty far-fetched, and but anyway, I inherited that ability, if you will, and so one time after my wife and I were just married, and she's not here, so I can tell the story today. I know you'll call and tell her that I told it, and that's fine. But so we were driving 3 hours from where we lived to her parents' house, and there was a turtle crossing the road. Now, I'm going to tell you up front, I know nothing about turtles. I don't care to know anything about turtles. Turtles are not on my radar, right? So I don't have anything against turtles. They're just not a big deal. So we saw this turtle crossing the highway, and it was out in the country, but it was a highway. And my wife is so empathetic and so compassionate. If you don't know that about her, she was like, "Man, I hope that turtle makes it across without getting run over." And for whatever reason, I went into a 10-minute diatribe all about turtles. And I just made it all up. I didn't know anything that I was saying. I had no idea what was going on. But I convinced my wife that turtles migrate. And I said, you know, what's really bad is that just the time they get where they need to go, they have to turn around and go back the other way. And she was starting to feel, and I just died laughing. And she said, "You made all of that up?" I said, "I did." So from that moment on, this is what happens in our relationship. If I'm telling a story like that, she will look at me and say, "Do you give me your word?" Okay? And if I don't say I give you my word, then she knows I'm making it up. But if I say I give you my word, regardless of what it is, that is the key. I give you my word. It's true. Okay? Now, I tell you that because it's interesting in our society and our culture. Sometimes truth matters way more than other times. Have you noticed that? Now, there are times when we want in our society, we want the truth to be told. That's why when people go to a courthouse, they have to raise their hand and say, "I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth." Because in our culture, we expect the truth to be told there. But it's ironic that truth so many other places in our culture doesn't matter. We really don't care. But there are certain spots when truth really, really matters. So we've been talking about how would Jesus live my life? If he had my occupation, if he had my family situation, if he was me, how would he live my life? And we've been going through different parts of this journey and been talking about how he would interact with people. And so we continue that today, and we continue talking about truth and really talking about integrity as we go on to the next section of the Sermon on the Mount. So I ask you to turn with me there in Matthew chapter 5. It's titled Oaths. Page 969, if you're using the Pew Bible. This will be our last day on 969 for a while. Matthew chapter 5, verse 33. So remember, Jesus has been teaching all of these different ways that if he were us, and if we are connected to him, this is how we'll live. And I think he calls us to this because I think he can help us live this way, and we can reach this. So Matthew chapter 5, verse 33. "Again, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, 'Do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made.' But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one." And so what Jesus says and what he calls us to is a life of integrity. Have you ever met a person that when they tell you something, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that's the way it is? That you talk with them and they tell you they're going to do A, B, or C, and you know it's going to happen. And there are other people that tell you A, B, or C, and you think, maybe. Right? And so Jesus is calling his people and says, when you are connected to me, you will live a life of integrity, of such impeccable integrity that people will trust you implicitly. All right? So as we look at this, though, I think Jesus is talking about integrity in two different relationships. And the first is to have integrity in our relationship with God. All right? Here, see what he says. Do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made. But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all. And so when people made oaths or agreements, it was between two people, but it was God as the witness. And so the law taught that when you make an agreement with someone, you are making a commitment before God. And so you need to be faithful to commit whatever you promise, whatever you're going to do, because God is involved and he is watching. And I think it's important for us to realize that when we live a life that does not have integrity, we are offending our relationship with God. And so when I talk about having integrity with my relationship with God, what I'm saying is that I need to be real. I need to be real with him. Have you ever had a time in your life, and I'm sure you haven't. Other people in other churches probably do this, but we don't do this. Had a time in your life when you promised God you would do something, knowing full well that you would never do it? Like you make an agreement with God, God, if you take care of this for me, I will do this forever. Right? I know nobody's ever done that, and I know you've heard stories, but the idea is that we feel this reality that I can trick God into believing I'm something I'm not. And the truth is, we don't need to have integrity with God, we need to have integrity with ourselves. And we need to realize that the only way to have a right relationship with God and to maintain that is for us to come to him with perfect openness that says, yes, this is who I really am, and I need you. But yet somehow we've convinced ourselves if I just do the right things, if I just say the right things, I can trick God into thinking I'm way more awesome than I really am. And maybe he'll come through with me. I want to show you a video clip here, and this has been filtered. It's from a movie called The End. It starred Burt Reynolds. Now, I don't recommend going to watch the movie. It really wasn't all that good. There are some funny scenes. But Burt Reynolds is a developer, a real estate developer, and his whole life has fallen apart, and he decides that he wants to kill himself. And the way he wants to kill himself is to swim as far out in the ocean as he can so that he doesn't have enough energy to get back. And where this video clip picks up is when he changes his mind. All right? So watch.
I want to live! I want to live! I can never make it. Help me, Lord. Please. I promise not to try and kill myself anymore. Save me, and I swear I'll be a better father. I'll be a better man. I'll be a better everything. All I ask is, make me a better swimmer. Oh, God. I can't do this to Julie. We can't do this to Julie. Oh, God, let me live, and I promise to obey every one of the 10 Commandments. I shall not kill. I shall not commit adultery. I shall not. I'll learn the 10 Commandments, and then I'll obey every one of them. Just get me back to the beach. I'll be honest in business. I promise not to sell lakeside lots unless there's a lake around. I want to see another sunrise. I want to see another sunset. It was a mistake, God. I never really wanted to kill myself. I just wanted to get your attention. Help me make it. I'll give you 50% of everything I make. 50%, God. I want to point out that nobody gives 50%. I'm talking gross, God. I think I'm going to make it. You won't regret this, Lord. I'll obey every commandment. I'll see my parents more often. No more cheating in business once I get rid of those 9 acres in the desert. And I'm going to start donating that 10% right away. I know I said 50%, Lord, but 10% to start. If you don't want your 10%, then don't take it. I know it was you that saved me, but it was also you that made me sick.
Okay, a little bit of exaggeration there, but you get the idea. So he makes a deal, right? And he says, I promise if you get me out of this, then I will do all of these things for you. And the truth is, David wrote in the 139th Psalm, Lord, you know before the words come out of my mouth what I'm going to say. It's not like we're going to fool God. It's not like we're going to trick him. It's not like we're going to make such a big, huge commitment to God that God to say, you know what, I just can't resist that temptation to give you what you want. I just can't resist to give you because you are going to do so much for me and I'm going to be so better off as God because you do all of this. Peter was just determined to be faithful to death for Jesus. And so it became the night before the night that Jesus was going to be arrested. And Peter said, I'll die for you. I will go with you and die with you. And Jesus just shook his head and said, Peter, you're not even going to make it through the night. You're going to deny you know me 3 times before the morning. And I think that's what we do with God, is we come to God with this idea that if I write just a big enough verbal check, then God will get me out of this. He will give me what I want, and everything will be awesome. But the truth is, to have integrity in our relationship with God is to come before God and say, God, I can't do it. I can't be what you want me to be. I don't have the power or the capacity to pull it off. I need you to do it through me. And it's when we realize that we're weak that he's strongest through us. And so if we're going to live a life of integrity, I think it really begins when we look in the mirror and being honest with ourselves about who we are and who we are before God. And we have to stop and we have to say, God, I need you desperately to be the person you want me to be because I know I can't do it on my own. Oh, there'll be times when God grows us and transforms our character and we have new standards to live up to, as it were, but the reality is that we are fully dependent on him to be who he wants us to be. So when we have integrity with ourselves before God, then we're on a journey to living a life of integrity. So we have integrity towards God because we understanding of who we are, but then Jesus gets more specific about having integrity with everyone, with the people we come in contact with. So here's what he says. I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or the earth, for it is God's footstool, or Jerusalem, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. And so here's what Jesus says. He says, you guys have established all of these rules. And if you go over to Matthew 23 later, you can see this in greater detail. What was going on is that they were saying, okay, if you make a promise or an oath to someone based on something, and it's not really that big of a deal if you keep it or not. But if you make an oath on something else, it really matters. So for example, we see in Matthew 23, they were making an oath based on the temple. That I swear by the temple I will do this. But it really wasn't that big of a deal unless they said, I swear by the gold in the temple. But if you said, I swear by the gold in the temple, you better keep that or God is going to get you. And so they had created this whole thing, this whole system of what really counts as truth and what really counts as integrity and what really counts as keeping an oath. And so Jesus is giving just some illustrations here. He said, don't make an oath by heaven. You don't know about heaven. That's God's home, right? Don't make a commitment based on earth, for it is nothing compared to God. Definitely don't make a commitment based on God, because you're really risking stuff there. And then he says, and don't swear by your head. And the idea is to say, I swear with my life that I will do that. And Jesus says, stop all of this swearing and oathing and promising stuff. Quit it. Let your yes be yes and your no, no. Be a person of such high integrity that you don't have to swear anymore. You see, I think that's what Jesus is saying. In my kingdom, as you follow me, as you become close to me, you will be a person of such high integrity that you will stand out from the crowd. That people will look at you and they will trust your word. They will trust what you say you're going to do. They will believe you. And it will amaze them that you have such high integrity. Do you have people you do business with that you will do business with them every time because you trust them? That's what Jesus is saying, that we should be such people of high integrity that we stand out from the crowd. So I began to process, why is it that we don't live with integrity? Why is it that we choose to not be fully truthful? Why is it that we go through life and it's like, I don't want to tell the truth in this situation? Sometimes we do that without even thinking about it. I think there's a couple of reasons. I was, when Cheris was just a toddler, I've told her I'm going to tell this story, so she's heard me tell it before. We had a video camera, and I was filming just randomly because that's what you do when your kids are little, and phones didn't have cameras back then. In fact, we didn't have cell phones back then, but we had a video camera. So I was filming her, and she went to her mom on the other side of the room and said, Mom, I want candy. Or she said, candy. And Mom said, no, we're getting ready to eat dinner. You can't have candy. So I videotape her, and she waits, she thinks, you just see her mind processing. She thinks for a while because she really wants candy. She walks across the room to me while I'm filming, and she looks me in the eyes and said, Dad, I want candy. I said, and I'd heard the whole video, the whole conversation. I said, did your mom say you could have candy? Yes. And I said, no, she didn't. I have video proof. And so I set down the camera and talked to her about truth, and she hasn't lied since. I give you my word. But the point was, is that little girl, she did exactly what we do. So many times we are without integrity because there's something we want. Maybe we want peace at home. Maybe it's not a piece of candy. Maybe it's a relationship that's on good footing or good ground, or maybe we want a better deal with a customer or whatever it is. There's something that we want. There's something that if I just stretch the truth or exaggerate just a little bit here, I may get what I want. And Jesus says, you know what? As my followers, that's not who we are. We're going to live in truth. We're going to be people of such high integrity that we stand out because of truth. But I think there's another reason why people struggle with truth and integrity. And it really goes with wanting something, but it's more specific. We want people to like us. We want people to like us. If I just stretch the truth here, they're going to be more impressed with me than they really should be. But that's okay, because they're going to like me better. If I just tell this one little white lie, you know what? They're going to think I'm awesome. And for those of you that live as people pleasers, man, I know that's hard. But what happens, and I've seen it happen before with a people pleaser, is they will tell in the same situation 4 different people 4 different things. And somehow they have to juggle all the different versions of truth that they've put out there. But for a time, everybody's happy until eventually truth comes out. And I think that sometimes we have a problem with integrity because we want everybody to like us. Man, that's a horrible place to be. That's a horrible place to camp out. So Jesus says, be a person of integrity. I will help you be a person of integrity. He didn't call us to something that we can't do with his help. He said, I will help you be a person of integrity. Let your yes be yes. Let your no be no. And live a life of truth. And it'll shock the world. It'll shock the world. When you live such high integrity that you don't have to say, I give you my word. When you don't have to say, I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because everybody knows that what comes out of your mouth is truth. And Jesus says, in my kingdom, integrity matters. So don't create this system of yes, I'll do this, and I promise this, and let your yes be yes. Let your no be no. And here's what he says, anything else is from Satan himself. Those are Jesus' words. Anything more than yes and no, that's from the enemy. So today, I want to challenge us. Man, this is something so desperately our society needs to see. I need to see truth. I need to see people who live in the truth. People that don't tell half-truths or exaggerate stories. People who live out life and truth in such a trustworthy manner that people say, wow. Because in this day and time, it's a wow. That's a big thing. So through this process, we've been going through what we call the VIM, all right? And so the V stands for the vision. And so the vision in this is that I would live a life that is so full of integrity that I don't tell half-truths, that I don't tell white lies, that I don't lie to myself about my relationship with God. That the truth is just a natural outflow of me. And that's the vision. All right? The intention then is to decide that, you know what, that's who I really want to be. I'm tired of covering up this lie over here so that I can get this person over here to like me or whatever it is. But the intention is I want to be a person of such high integrity that the world sees truth in me. And then the means, as always, begins with full dependence on Christ. I can't be a person of perfect truth unless Jesus does it through me. Unless the Spirit of Christ is working in me and through me. But I also think this is another place where accountability is helpful. If we have 2 or 3 people in our lives that we're really close to, that have the freedom to say, you know what? I'm not sure that's true. And it's okay. And so with dependence and accountability, then if someone is dealing with this as a stronghold in their lives, can find victory. Because Jesus called us to something that we can do with his help. So I want to challenge us all. We live in a time, and the last 3 weeks, don't know what truth is. And frankly, I've decided, and in Washington, D.C., they don't care what truth is. But as followers of Jesus, it matters. It matters. So again, let's follow Jesus, be people of high integrity, be people that the world can trust. Not so they think that we're awesome, but so they'll be impressed with our King. Let's pray.